Tillman, and it was the first version. Actually, hold it up, Kelly, you have one. Yeah, these are antiques. That came out in the year 2000, and that was my very first book I published. And then I have to say, I'm kind of impressed. I can't believe that I've had so many books since 2000, but I have. And this is the one that's now, this book, both books represent a compilation of columns from a neighborhood newspaper that I helped start with my wife and some others in the neighborhood just north of here, 5 neighborhoods just north of here. And after, it was all volunteer. We used to start, we had about 30 volunteers working on the issues, and then after that, after I edited the first year or two, somebody said to me, well, you want to write a column? I said, you know, like you do. And so I said, okay. And they said, what do you call it? I said, the Urban Coyote, because I love the story of the old native trickster stories of the coyote going around and, you know, creating a pleasant, we hope, chaos and actually solving problems by accident. And then of course it's urban. At the time, there were no actual urban coyotes. We're all overrun. I don't know where you live, but they're all over the place now. So when eating huckleberries off Robert Bly's front sidewalk, and he just sat there, you know, just comfortable, right across the street. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read a little bit from the introduction, and then I'm going to just read you a few stories. And they're like just, all of these are short, they're a page and a half. And they're all really good. And I mean, so just a little of this introduction, because it's kind of fun. Dear reader, that's you. You hold in your hands the selected maunderings from the past decade or so of a 20th century man. I was born in the last century, raised in the last century, educated in the last century, and everything I know, understand, and care about is from the last century. Was created in the last century with the exception of the MacBook Air, 2008, and the iPhone, 2013, necessary survival tools like food, shelter, love, and a Swiss Army knife. I love books, bookstores, libraries, liberals, the liberal arts, science, mail, letters, and wood fires. We have a wood fire right here. I'll keep it going while we're talking. Cuddle up, by the way. And so, I love all facts, few opinions, and Martin Luther King's dream that the arc of the moral universe bends toward justice. I love paper and pens, digital printers, email, Google, and Wiki. But my brain refuses to accommodate Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, YouTube, Uber, Lyft, WhatsApp, etc. App infinitum. Apps have their uses, and we who refuse them risk further slippage into the slough of irrelevance. But as another 20th century writer, Kurt Vonnegut Jr. said, so it goes. So, and then another paragraph from this part. But as the new century exploded into new methods for doing old things, my brain decided it has had enough with innovation that would stick to the basics it knew. And so I stand or sit or relax beneath your fingertips like Leonardo's Vitruvian Man, nakedly circumscribed by 20th century limitations, loving best the sound and sense and heft of words pressed on paper. Loving best the sound and sense and heft of words pressed on paper. So the introduction ends with an ode to my MacBook Air, which I do love. I love to get up in the quiet before the birds ravage the feeder and open my laptop cool to the palms and let my fingers soar over the keys like cormorants over open water, as if free of care, though in fact urgent with hunger. Before I leave for the airy world, I fold the clamshell back into its quiet life on the seafloor, where its blue eye peers out, looking for passing prey, able to see great distances. And then I had one of my great friends has a press called Neo-Functionalist Press, and he published a lovely little, what do I call it, a chapbook of 4 poems of mine called 4 Seasons. I wrote them one for each season. And he loved them, and it became the organizing principle of this book called The Seasons of the Urban Coyote. So since we're in fall, I'll read you the fall poem, which is the first poem, long poem in the book that keys to the seasons in the story. Prayer to Fall. Who made the colors hidden beneath green? Who the umber afternoon? Where once fluttered solar-loving shapes in chlorophyll clothes, the light dress of summer, hang husked, stiff and exhausted, a rustling chord of complaint, russet jaw, dried blood and tan, crackling skittered streets and winding ways. Yet how we love to praise fall's reverberant hills, crowned with maple fire. Amazed before oak's bare paw leaves, elm's veins, bronze beech, aspen's fleece blanket, a golden footed path lit by afternoon slant light. We with roots in cooler climes, closer to earth's white cap than her fecund humid belly, raise our autumn arms in praise of harvest time, when we work from dark to dark to fill our bins. Then we knit our barren fingered limbs in silent prayer. We knit our barren fingered limbs in silent prayer. Dear gods, allay our ancient fear. Diminished light and heat will disappear. And I'll gloss that last image because it's a big deal for me. And there is an essay in here about going to Machu Picchu. In Machu Picchu, which I went for reasons described in here, but a long time ago, it's really a sculpture. It's carved out of living rock, out of the mountain, most of it. And there's this extraordinary, what would we call, I don't know how to describe it, almost like a tree, but a smooth, there's no description for it, a column, a smooth column that rises up about 6 or 8 feet, coming right out of the living rock. It's just unbelievable. And beautifully smooth. And what that was is the Intihuatana, which is the hitching post of the sun. And in the ancient times of the the Inca, this is the Inca in Peru, the priests, noticing, of course, aware of the fact that the solstices, and knowing solstice is coming, because they counted and kept track, they had a ritual, had a ceremony at the time of the solstice where they would literally throw a rope into the sky, a lasso, and tie it to the hitching post of the sun, because they were worried, and trying to stem the worry among the populace that the light would keep going and eventually disappear. So now, because I'm here and because of the seasons we're in, I'm going to read 2 stories, tell you 2 stories as we sit by the fire. Not that one, so it must be. Is it this one way over here? I guess it is, yeah. In the bag. I'm going to give you 2 stories that are of this season. Memo to the local turkey. This was done in September of 2018. Memo to local turkey. Thanksgiving only 2 months away. We have several new neighbors near the corner of Girard and Lincoln. You're all welcome to visit, by the way. Generally a happy occasion. Numerous construction bins are sure signs of home improvement. But not all new neighbors are leaving a happy impression. Consider our newest, the wild turkey. I remember the tracks of massive prehistoric feet up the sidewalk the day after the terrible April blizzard. The 3-toed dinosaur tread marched one after another straight up Girard Avenue like a confident door-to-door salesman or a serial killer. Where could this mythological beast be headed? When Milagros Galapova, that's the Latin name. Live where Milagros lived for the balance of the spring remains unknown. But in late summer, he arrived at our backyard, where he now inhabits every day, dominating the scrum under the bird feeder for drop seeds. The problem with this turkey is overweening self-confidence. It believes it is the lord of its domain, in this case, our backyard. If cats, dogs, or squirrels approach, it scares them away with a primitive and nasty display of aggressiveness. If Homo sapiens approaches, the same. We are right to be wary. Previously schooled in wild turkey behavior, on a biking trip in southeastern Minnesota one June, my leg was bum rushed by a female intent on killing my ankle, calf, and if lucky, the rest of me. We take no chances with this prehistoric monster. Pause for a moment and consider its pedigree. When my pale and trembling ancestors arrived at Plymouth Colony in 1620, a questionable genealogy, they immediately set about starving to death. But the local Wampanoag demonstrated not only friendliness, but a variety of agricultural and culinary innovations that they were happy to share. Just as indigenous chef Sean Sherman and neighbor Beth Dooley will do if you buy their cookbook, The Sous Chef's Indigenous Kitchen, which I'm sure is available on the shelves right here. In fact, we walked right by it. A major New World culinary discovery was the turkey, well domesticated by the locals. Flash forward to 2018, and the state of Minnesota is the largest producer of domestic turkey in these formerly United States. The turkeys we city people know and love arrived before us plumped and plucked and browned, about a foot tall when supine on the platter, a generous dinner companion. But those giant white breasts are not the guy parading around our backyard. This fellow, huge and arrogant in his frankly elegant iridescent feather suit, is a shameless omnivore who will attack and eat anything, including, we suspect, human flesh. As I approached my door recently, he flew up, claws out, looked me eye to eye from his hideous alien face and squawked, "I want to drink your blood." I squawked back, "I want to eat your flesh." An ugly standoff. Who will win this battle of neighborhood titans? Will Monster Tom succeed in tripping me to the turf and pecking out my eyeballs and clawing out my vitals before tearing up my jugular in a fountain of blood? Or will this 6 foot, 185 pound, 74-year-old, equally omnivorous and disagreeable Homo sapiens, armed with fire poker, kitchen knife, twine, and prehensile thumbs, throttle him by the neck and twist him in the air like a Chinese kite before dressing him for Thanksgiving dinner? Tune in 2 months from now for the grisly conclusion to this bloodthirsty tale. One way or another, guest or feast, the turkey is attending our Thanksgiving dinner. And then, right next door to that, right here, a truly scary Halloween, October 2018. Because we just had Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. Thanksgiving is second. I have no use for Christmas or the rest. My wife thinks Easter is, and our house is filled with Easter eggs year round. A truly scary Halloween, October 2018. Every October 31st, I terrify numerous dozens of trick-or-treaters who arrive at our front door on the corner of Girard and Lincoln by requiring them to undergo the Coyote Challenge. By now, most kids and parents in the neighborhood know the drill and excitedly prepare to test their courage against the Urban Coyote's howling jaws, though new ones arrive doubtful. I appear at the door in a coyote skin headdress. Well, you would too, of course. I appear at the door in this coyote skin headdress, flashlight flashing on my spooky white beard, and ask the startled supplicants what is it they seek. Candy. Candy seems to be the general response. I respond that I do not give candy. I hear. They have to earn it by demonstrating courage. Do they dare undergo the Coyote Challenge? At which point I usher those who haven't run away into the hall to face 3 daunting tests. 3. To wit, 1. Remove a peanut butter cup from the jaws of my howling coyote, a stuffed roadkill gift from a naturalist friend. That's a great story, Andy. So, remove the peanut butter cup from the jaws of my howling coyote, a stuffed roadkill. 2, if they dare, remove a Snickers bar from one of the 5 hands attached to the 5 arms of Bear Woman, sitting in the dark corner, with a bearskin swaddling limbs of salvaged department store mannequins. 3, for the final and most terrifying test, I lift them up to face. I lift them to face the hall mirror above a broken, headless statue of Bill Shakespeare. Their own scary face. 4, to these traditional stations of scary, this year I've added a 4th, the trapdoor of truth. If a visitor dares to wear I must say his name the first time, and it's not spelled out in the book, a Donald Trump mask. If a visitor dares to wear a DT mask and repeats anything at the door that is untrue, a vat of hot tomato soup will fall from the sky. If he spouts one more slur on immigrants or women, a vat of pig intestines. Any coddle of dictators, a witch's brew of bison bile on his head. Here's a better idea. I'll greet him at the door with an Obama mask. He hates Obama. Imagine a black man as president. And an uppity one at that, who dared crack a joke about him at the National Press Club annual dinner. So the monstrous DT set out to dismantle everything Obama ever did. Gargantua, unable to stop gorging himself until he devours the entire U.S. government. But I have an antidote to the DT mask. To the DT masked assaults on facts, government, fairness, and reason. You do too. It's called the ballot. On November 6th, satisfying as are the Urban Coyote's remedies for the Donald Trump reign of error, none will be as delicious as Democrats sweeping the midterm elections on November 6th and taking control of the House to finally place some brakes on his fact-free America. Winning control of the Senate, unlikely as that is, would be even better. Because there's one mask scarier than a DT mask. It's a Mitch McConnell mask. Covered in Kentucky coal dust, exhaling air pollution, dripping acid into streams and rivers, this monster's vile breath alters the composition of the atmosphere. From his home in the Kentucky underworld, he abandoned Senate rules and respect for science, economics, and math. Such a sight at the door is too scary to contemplate. But just in case, I will build a trap door under my porch light. And if a Mitch McConnell or a Donald Trump mask appears demanding my country abandon not only women and children and voting rights in the economy, think 1.5 trillion of added debt to finance stock buybacks for his friends, and the earth, I'll pull the trap door and send them back from whence they arose, the right hand of Beelzebub himself. Let's hope this Halloween is not marred by such unspeakable horrors. Then I can entertain with joy the usual gaggle of witches, princes, astronauts, pirates, ninja warriors, and brides, all forces for good in the war for the future. And on November 6th, we can all cast our ballots for a post-DT future of happy children and a smiling and pleasant Mother Earth. And then I'll give you you're ready, I'm gonna send you home with a little bit of spring, which will happen. I'm telling you right now, it will happen. So this is the very last essay in the book. It'll make you feel better. Although we did win those elections, by the way, which was quite remarkable. So, yeah. And we also, not only won those elections, we've tortured the bad people with facts. And we're working on attempting an accounting of their nasty behavior. So we'll see how when and if that works out. Hi there.
Hi.
Justin Bieber, I'd recognize you anywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to take that off. Well, I can't it'll wreck the top. Because I bought it because of this. Because I love yellow duckies.
Thank you. Is Bieber on this sweatshirt?
I'm amazed you said.
So I'll just do one more and we can hang out. And but they're all like this. They're all short little fireside chat stories. So you can read one at night and fall asleep and feel that you've done something. Or like me, you can read one or two before breakfast. So this is the final one, and between you and me, it's just great. Because I watched this happen. I can't even believe it. It was so wonderful. The title of the essay is called Forgetting. At a recent gathering of the extended family, all adults vaccinated, grandson Oliver Lenfestey, age 5, showed off his marvelous magic skills. Before the final evening potluck, he invited all to a magic show. Tickets, issued with his mom's help, were origami cups filled with popcorn. At the appointed hour, the curtain, a bath towel, dropped from the door before the assembled throng, revealing the magician. His first trick succeeded masterfully. Pick a card, any card. Okay, Queen of Hearts. Okay, place it back in the deck. Shuffle, shuffle, cut, shuffle, cut, cut. Then the magician pulled a single card from the deck. Queen of Hearts! Cheers and claps all around. Oliver was so excited. He was so excited. In response to the response so appreciative, he developed a second magic trick. On the spot. It went like this. Okay, pick a card, any card. 3 of clubs. Okay, show it to me and everybody. 3 of clubs. 3 of clubs. Now I'll put it back in the deck. And now I'm going to work really, really, really hard to forget it. True story. I'm going to work really, really hard to forget it. Eyes scrunch, body spins, voice groans, hands pull at hair. More spinning, then he jumped up. King of diamonds! And just like that, the genius of the child magician opened the door to wisdom on the calamitous year 2021, falling away behind us, what all of us can do. Work really, really hard to turn the 3 of clubs into a king of diamonds by forgetting. As vaccinations rapidly spread, the pandemic, forget it. As the pathetic loser in chief bumbles away from Twitter and the White House along with his deluded followers and insurrectionists, forget them. The calamitous burning and looting of Lake Street, forget. The homeless encampments in Powderhorn and Kenwood Parks and along Lagoon, forget them. The Chauvin trial coming to a close, let the justice system do its work. Minneapolis and St. Paul's record year for crime and homicides, and the flood of illegal guns in the streets, and the thoughtless defund the police mantra, forget them all for now. And forget the idea of moving away to Arizona. With more than 144 days above 100 degrees Fahrenheit last year, and more than 53 above 110 and rising. Ditto low-tax, deeply racist Florida, the unforgiving ocean relentlessly eating away at its edges. Ditto any other city or state. You think only we have race and class and climate problems? Forget about it. And instead, stay and deal. As the scholar-philosopher Lewis Hyde considers in his latest path-breaking book, A Primer on Forgetting, Getting Past the Past, published in 2019, quote, we live in a culture of what's preserved, we live in a culture that prizes memory. How much we can store, the quality of what's preserved, how we might better document and retain moments of our life while fighting off the nightmare of losing all that we have experienced. But what if forgetfulness were seen not as something to fear, be it in the form of illness or simple absent-mindedness, but rather a blessing, a balm, a path to peace and rebirth. Peace and rebirth. Remember those? Peace and rebirth. Remember those? There will be time soon enough, as history and Lewis Hyde also remind us, for what I call a Truth and Reparations Commission. A Truth and Reparations Commission of our own design. Much difficult work ahead to unfold so many neighbors once excluded. But for now, for right now, as Mother Earth continues her voyage around the sun, oblivious to the wandering ways of her human inhabitants, for right now, bless the trees, they are budding. Great halos of buds, angelic afros of buds, queen of hearts and king of diamonds and ace of spades of buds. Pick a bud, any bud, and rejoice. Well,
Hey.
well, bless you. So I write one of these once a month. These are the best ones. They don't all make the cut. And some have been tuned up for the purposes of this wonderful book, beautifully designed and edited by and published by Norton Stillman right here in his Snowden Press, who's had an extremely busy year. How many books have you published this year, Norton? 9 books this year. I'll tell you, when this book came out, I looked at it, I put it together, I said to myself, I'm winning the Minnesota Book Award in essays, no question about it. This is the best book of essays coming out. Oops. He's published 2 others. One who was here last night, and one who's coming here tomorrow night. And I'm coming tomorrow night. Any of you remember Dave Nimmer, was he CCO?
Right.
Yeah, CCO. Yeah, most wonderful guy. Well, he's done another one of these. I don't have a chance.
You know, in the Minnesota, the MEPA Award,
Uh-huh.
I was able to enter each of you in a different category.
All right.
Oh, you got a shot then.
God, you're brilliant. God, so Norton, who's just a childish age of 88,
Right.
Wow.
is the sharpest. Well, I had no idea you did that. God, you were brilliant. So I won't have to compete with Dave Nimmer, who I knew would clobber me.
Yeah, he wanted to be inspiration,
Oh,
and he, I think there's one social science and political.
oh, okay, well, because this is all based in fact, although it all starts hyperlocal, as you can see, right at the corner of Girard and Lincoln, with this prehistoric turkey walking up the street or whatever it does walk up the street. And then the rest is where it goes. As Kelly will appreciate, Mother Earth is in here a lot because she's in crisis, as you know. So we walked out from Girard and Lincoln to end up in marches for the climate, and we've done lots of things, all beginning right there though, as we all do. We all begin where we live. And I'm able to, I've had the good fortune, so the first book came out in 2000, and which was and then I had ceased writing the column. I said I would turn it over to younger people, and Then, after a 10 or so year hiatus, when I started off in my creative writing world and did publish a suite of poems and really a good memoir called Seeking the Cave, which is about going to China, which is, one I didn't read. You want one more? You tell me. We could all go to, what time is it? I have no idea.
That's good.
Not until 10. Because there's one that's set right here, right here in this seat in this room.
Oh, yeah.
And I marked it, and I apologize, I forgot about it. I think, is it this one? I could go to the index, but why would I do that? Yeah, but I think you might like it. It's a little different than the other ones. A lot of them are funny, a lot of them, but they all have implications. But this one is one that didn't. This is set right here in March 2016, the last time I was here. And it was for the book Seeking the Cave, and I'll tell you about that. Because this is whether you get the book or not, this is something for you all to think about for yourselves. Deep Travel, The Pilgrimage Within, March 2016. My latest book is a memoir describing my 40-year love affair with the voice of a poet who lived in a cave in the Yantai Mountains of China 1,200 years ago. His poems have been so compelling to me that in 2006, I traveled to China to seek the cave where he is said to have lived, and from where his poems echoed so unexpectedly in my life. After many adventures, we arrived at the cave, and I discovered what that poet's voice meant, why that poet's voice meant so much to me. That trip became the core of Seeking the Cave, A Pilgrimage to Cold Mountain, published in 2014 by Milkweed Editions in a handsome hardbound edition. Last month, the book was published in paperback, and I'm back on the road again, right here, right in this seat, telling its story. But since that first publication, and well after the 7 years it took to write and edit the book, I still remain puzzled by a question that pilgrimage raised for me, what I've come to call deep travel. Bear with me. We travel for many reasons, as all of you know. Curiosity, adventure, challenge, education, excitement, relaxation, of course, necessity. We attend reunions with family and friends. We seek warmer suns or better snows or deeper roots or better jobs. But once or twice in a lifetime, if one is lucky, one may find oneself called to travel not from without, but from within. Not from without, but from within. Such a trip is not simply an adventure or a migration, but a pilgrimage. In our thinly secular society, pilgrimage seems a medieval or ultra-religious practice. We think of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, or the crowded once-in-a-lifetime return to Mecca of contemporary Muslims, or the handful of Catholic friends, Jim, maybe you did this, the handful of Catholic friends who hiked the Camino del Santiago de Compostela in Spain. Have you done that?
Only in France.
Only in the France part, yeah. He speaks the French. He speaks the Catholic, but he speaks the French Catholic. Or some Jews and Christians and Muslims feel compelled to visit Jerusalem. Other Christians to follow the Pauline Trail to ancient Ephesus, singing praises to their faith. Some Buddhists and Hindu sects practice pilgrimage to nearby shrines or to the Bodhi tree, where Gautama Buddha discovered that suffering is the central fact of the human condition. Such treks fulfill a religious injunction or vocation or practice. But what if the call to pilgrimage comes from you know not where? What if the call is to discover, not proclaim? Not to answer questions, but to address unanswerable ones. Such a call came to me twice in my life. In the early 70s, I camped with my young family across much of the Great Plains in the American Southwest, seeking the stories and history of Native America, visiting communities, historic sites, and shrines. I realize now I was attempting to fill a palpable void in my education and understanding. I grew up in northeastern Wisconsin near 3 native reservations, the Oneida, the Menominee, and the Brotherton, yet knew essentially nothing about them. Meanwhile, the drums and protests of the American Indian movement and marches against the termination of the Menominee Reservation had begun to echo in my heart. I felt compelled to fill an emptiness in my head and the heart of the country. My trip to China felt similar. Han Shan, the mysterious Buddhist hermit, poet, is said to have painted his poems on rocks and walls and carved them on bamboo, poems with common sense, humor, and self-awareness. Only after he disappeared into a crack in the mountain did others gather the poems into a book. That practice of poetic impermanence felt compelling to me. That practice of poetic impermanence felt compelling to me. A joy and grief expressed in art, careless of posterity. I was struck too by the medium Han Shan chose to express his sentiments, poetry, a practice at the extremes of language that has enraptured me for much of my life. But why? Last paragraph. On April 11th, at Majors and Quinn Booksellers, I will tell once more my tale of seeking the cave to find what I did not know was missing. And I will seek your stories too. What mysterious call might propel you? What mysterious call might propel any of you down a trail of self-discovery? Where might such a pilgrimage take you? What emptiness might be filled when you arrive? Thank you.